admiral's, like, transport ship or whatever that he was on. You know, it's a very Federation-y looking ship. We open in the transporter room, and O'Brien is over there pressing buttons, bleeping and blooping. You know.
Bleeping.
As one does.
As the transporter chief does. He bleeps and bloops all day.
Sometimes
I've been slaving over a hot transporter all day, bleeping and blooping. I'm very tired now.
Keiko, can't you see I've been blooping all day? So Riker and Geordi come in. It's 0500 hours. It's ready for the away team to beam down to the surface. Let's go. And Riker's like, oh, I guess this is just showing how way into this sort of rivalry he is, because he's just like, oh, well, I guess Jada and our guest are late.
Oh, yeah, no, he loves it that he felt like he showed up before her.
Do you really think that Data would be late?
Yeah, Data doesn't sleep.
He literally probably has an internal alarm clock. He's up.
Right? Anyway, he's just so, like, in his whole head about this crap, you know? Come on, Riker. I hope you're better than this, but you're probably not. It turns out O'Brien knows where they are, because he's been bleeping and blooping for hours. And about an hour ago, they come through, transport down to the surface, and Riker's like, under whose authority? And O'Brien's like, her own? I mean,
she can. Like, yeah. She outranks O'Brien, and, you know, so for her to say, you know, beam us down, okay, he has no reason to check those orders. And, it's interesting because, again, you know, she did do something wrong here. Like, she should not have jumped ahead. Like, and we get to in the scene where, you know, they're down there and she's like, oh, there was a weather system moving in and I knew we would be short on time. So, you know, I just grabbed Data and left. Well, that should have been her cue to, like, you know, call Commander Riker, wake him up and be like, dude, there's, like, seriously a storm coming in. We should go now, you know, and go through him because he's the first officer.
Right. Yeah. Like, I agree that I mean, it wouldn't even been much of anything. Like, if he wasn't awake, she could have left him a message. Right? You know, like, come on.
I think that does, again, come back to the fact that she's been in charge of her own task force for these past months. So she's not used to really checking in to do something like this. So, like, you get her side of it is that, well, you know, I've been in charge of a task force. I've been in charge of other people. It makes no sense for me to wait. And then also, but there is the chain of command, which, according to Firefly, is the chain that Jane gets to beat you with. But in Star Trek, it is different.
But if she becomes first officer, she's got to answer to the captain. She can't just do whatever she wants.
That is true.
Either. So, you know, she's still, like, having to answer to somebody where she is. It's just that I agree that she's used to dealing with her task force how she wants. And if she wants to change the time that they're going, they will or whatever. Because she's the one that made the time, you know. If her commanding officer, if it's the admiral or somebody else, was like, you can only go at 0500, you can't go at 0400, you know, then she probably wouldn't do it. But, you know, if they were like, yeah, go, just pick a team, pick a time, whatever, that's fine. You know, that she has that ability and that freedom to change it if she wants. But because Riker outranks her in this situation, he's got all three of those little circles filled in, you know. It's very hard here. We want, you know, it's like we want to root for her. And we want to boo him, which we can still boo him. That's fine. In this situation, but it's like, oh, come on, please do the right thing. So they beam down to the surface, you know, Geordi and Riker, and then we have Data and Shelby are blooping and bleeping with their tricorders or whatever.
Right.
They found some interesting results. You know, and before they can really even talk about it, Riker's like, come with me. Like he's like grabbing her by the ear, basically, and dragging her away, you know? It's like,
But I will respect is that he wants to have a conversation with her, which will probably involve some dressing down. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't do it in front of Data and Geordi. He does walk her away. So there is he's showing her that respect because she is lieutenant commander.
Right
so she's
now
earned
he's
that
showing
rank.
her the respect.
Right.
Anyway.
But also, it's he doesn't give her the dressing down in front of other subordinates, which is it's terrible. It creates a really bad morale among the whole crew. So it's he's at least showing her respect in the fact that it's he's telling her, come take a walk with me because we need to talk.
Yeah,
I totally agree. He could have easily just dressed her down in front of the other people there, and she and Geordi and Data are all the same rank. They're all lieutenant commander, but he could have done that, but he does take her aside and does speak to her in private, even though Geordi knows. Geordi basically is ooh, she's double. He's kind of like that, but he doesn't do it in front of them. So I do respect him for that.
Because she's like, oh, the early bird catches the worm or whatever. And I'm like, do people in the 24th century actually still say that?
Really? You don't have a newer saying
right?
The early rancor catches the Jedi.
That's
even more ancient and a different podcast.
We don't talk about that here. Unless we're saying how it's less good than Star Trek.
I have not taken part in that.
No,
I have made references.
I saying.
Star Wars is my one true love.
So Data doesn't understand because he's like, there aren't any birds or worms here, so what is she talking about? I think she's wrong. And I love him because Geordi's like, no, that was just the same, but you're right, she was wrong in this respect. And it's like, yeah, but you could just tell that if Geordi had been with an actual person, they would have been gossiping about this, because later him and Riker were kind of talking about her oh, she's a handful. Oh yeah, it's no, you don't, as the boss, you don't go and tell other employees that, even if they're the same rank or if they're different or whatever. That just, I hate that. But I feel like it also challenges morale whenever you're talking bad about one of them with somebody else. So, like I said, early bird catches the worm. She wanted to go before the storm. After Riker and Shelby they go off to their walk and talk, and she's like, well, can I give you my report now? Because it's important. And he's, yes, please. Turns out, same signatures. It's the Borg. There's no doubts now. Same waves and technobabble and all that kind of stuff as they found on the hull of the ship. Besides the terrain being cut up the way they've seen it in other places, the Borg. So, we go back to the Enterprise. Stardate 43993.5. There are a lot of stardates in this episode.
There are.
But it's fun. It's still Thursday, June 2nd, but it's 3:44. 55.
3 o'clock, yeah.
We learned that Hansen has gone back to Starbase 324. Shelby stayed on because she knows a lot about the Borg, and she's been, she's a tactical officer. She's been trying to figure out how to take on the Borg these whole 6 months that she's been there. Maybe among other things, maybe the only thing, we don't know for sure, but she's made herself very acquainted with what they do and who they are and all that. We see Riker and Picard in the ready room, and they're talking. Riker says he's issued a standing yellow alert, and all the star bases have been warned, because the Borg have been found to have decimated this colony. Just in case you don't remember, since I had so many digressions there. They assign Data and Wesley to help Shelby with her work, and Picard asks Riker what he thinks of her, and, he's like, well, she's knowledgeable, but, she's... And I wrote that she's cocky, because I feel like that's kind of where he wants to go with saying that, but he's trying to be nice, trying to be nicer, I guess, but he's just like, man, she's got her own way about her, kind of thing. I mean, do you all agree that that's kind of where he's going, or,
Oh, yeah, I do.
They think she's kind of full of herself. And I wrote, sound familiar? Because it's like, and then, of course, Picard's like, well, I remember when I took a chance on a first officer who was just the exact same way, you know, and Riker's kind of like, yeah. But it doesn't make him think about Shelby different. It just makes him whiny about himself that he's not like that anymore. Of course, that doesn't happen this scene. It happens soon, but it's like, do we have to? Anyway, but Picard asks him why he hasn't taken the captain post, because he's like, I think you're ready. And I'm like, okay, Jean-Luc, I usually can go with what you have to say, but I think you're wrong in this in this spot. Because anytime he's taking
Picard, he doesn't want to
That's
leave
true.
him.
And I like the two of them together. I think they work well together because they have different sort of personalities. But anytime Riker's been in charge, gets a little power hungry to me. Like, he's just, yeah, do this. I'm the captain, la la la, you know. Or when he had the Q powers, he's like, haha, I can do everything. Look, I can make you whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can have whatever you want. Look at me, you know. It's like,
right, but then, like, in all fairness, that episode does happen early in the season.
That's true. That's true.
I will say this. In the series, they've already offered Riker a command 3 times.
I know. And I don't know that he would, like, the way his character is, I don't think he would have been ready for them to have asked him 3 times, except for the fact that he is a white American man, because Starfleet was created in America by white men.
Right. But at the same time, I think, like, is he at this point in his career ready to take command? Maybe not. It's still unclear. Mm-hmm. But I think that we do see character growth from Riker. Certainly from, like, episode 1 to this episode, we certainly do see character growth. And I'm sure that if we had gotten more of Commander Shelby, we would have seen her character grow as well, and she would have matured and probably become less headstrong. But at the same time, Riker knows his worth.
Right.
Riker knows how good he is. I mean, everybody should have that. Everybody should know how good you are at something, at the thing that you do. And the thing is that Shelby also knows how good she is at stuff. You know, so again, does it rub him the wrong way because it reminds him of himself? I think to a degree, yes. But I think that's more of a show in 1990 saying women shouldn't be this way. So, I mean, I think it's a combination of both, personally, but I do think that by the time we get to the end of the second episode, I think her and Riker have really come to a good understanding of their relationship.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like he has had growth, and like if they've offered him a post as captain once before, this one, that would have, but like the fact that this is the 3rd time, that seems like a little much, because later on, for sure, because I like him more and more as the series goes on, because I don't know if the writing for him got better or if they were just trying to show personal growth or a little bit of both, but and from what I've seen in the trailers, I adore him in Picard.
Yeah.
So,
but I also think too, when they cast Jonathan Frakes to play William T. Riker, they really did cast him to be like a Captain Kirk archetype. He was the handsome one. He was the one who was gonna, get all the ladies. And I think early Riker, 1st and 2nd season, you see that a lot. You see Riker getting it on with a lot of different women, and you do see him as the show goes on. For sure, you do see him have relationships and whatever. But I do think also that they do settle him in to a more mature role as he goes along, which is only natural for all people. As they get older, they mature, But, again, when he was first on, the Enterprise, he was young and needed to mature as well.
And baby-faced.
Yeah, no beard. Pre-beard Riker is not as good as bearded Riker.
Yeah,
everybody knows
100%.
That is accepted.
Bearded Riker is superior Riker.
Yeah. For sure. Also, I don't know if they anticipated how much of a lady killer Jean-Luc Picard would be to the actual audience.
Oh, I don't think so.
No. They were just like, oh, here's this, distinguished Shakespearean British actor. He's older, he's bald, whatever. It's like, no.
They did not take into account the effect that he would have on so many fangirls' panties.
Right? It's like, nice.